Hello, FlossTube friends. Welcome to anyone who is new here to my channel, and thank you for returning if you have been here before. My name is Suzette, also known as Primitive Stitcher, here on YouTube and on Instagram. It's been a bit longer than I expected. Today is Friday, June 18th, 2021, and I'm going to talk to you today about the second half of my Stitch Mania finishes, not finishes, Stitch Mania pieces, and what else I've been working on in the month of June. So this channel is primarily about cross stitching, a few other bits thrown in here and there, a few personal items of interest, but mostly about cross stitch. So if you have been here before, you may remember that my Stitch Mania this year was based on previous Stitch Mania pieces, and I had I worked on 10 previous Mania pieces. I have a few more than that, but I only worked on 10. So the first one that I worked on since we last met was on May 15th, and that one was Grace Bridges, which is by Stacy Nash Primitives, and this one was started in 2019 Mania. I worked on this for 6 days, and honestly, I cannot remember where I began on this one, but here we are. I have finished the top portion. Well, let me show you first. What it will look like when finished. So my goal was to finish all the alphabet and start on the motifs down in the lower part of the sampler, and I did accomplish that with a tiny little start right here, which is the top of a tree. I'm stitching this on 35 count parchment by weeks, using all the call for threads. This is one that I would like to pick up and possibly continue on, work on it until I finish. I don't know, that looks like a very big yellow house in there though, so we'll see. So like I said, I worked on that for 6 days from the 15th through the 20th, and then next up was Christmas at Hollyberry Farm, which was also a 2019 Mania start, and it is also by Stacy Nash Primitives, and will hopefully look something like this when complete. I'm stitching this one on 36 count mink, which I believe is what was called for, and I worked on this for 3 days, the 21st through the 23rd. And previously, I think I had just worked on the part of the top border. So here I am, and I'm stitching this with the call for threads, and stitching it one thread over two. And clearly, like, I ended with this tree and didn't even put the trunk in yet. Next up was Snowed In. Again, another one from Stacy Nash Primitives and from 2019 Maynia. And I'm just doing this part. I may at some point come back and make the smaller one, but this one is being stitched on 40 count gray by Weeks Dye Works. I believe it called for maybe like a 36 count, but I had 40 count in my stash, so that's what I went with. Also being stitched 1/2. And I worked on that for one day. I just had a few snowflakes left and I think part of the border. So here we are with the finish. I think my one and only Maynia finish. I believe I will go ahead and finish that off as a pillow like she has here. So I'm happy to have that one complete. Then after Snowed In, I worked on Mary Bars. Again, another Stacy Nash piece. Many people have completed this. This one is not one that I will complete anytime soon. And this one is being stitched on 36 count parchment by Weeks using the call for. I think it's I can't remember if it's Weeks or Gentle Arts. So this is where I am. I believe I pretty much just did the 2 motifs, maybe some of the alphabet. So if you're looking at this in comparison to the photo, I am simply right over here in this tiny little corner. So a long way to go on this one, but it's beautiful. And I do want to have it on my wall. Then, oh, I had 3 days on that. It's the 25th to the 27th. Then on the 28th, I had only had 1 free day for this, which is sStudio, Let Freedom Ring. I'm stitching mine on 36 count Ren by Picture This Plus, using all the call for colors, which is a mix of DMC and an overdyes. I'm currently working in this area right here. I'm kind of stuck in the trees. So previously I had shown you this lower section that I had completed. Then I did the building, and for my one day, I just came in and worked more right in this area here. My plan for this is, I think, over the 4th of July holiday, I will probably pick it back up and work on it for a few days at that time. See if I can get the trees complete so that I can move then into this section. It's a beautiful chart. I enjoy working on it, and I can't wait to get back to it. Then the last thing that I worked on Maynia this year is one called My Hometown, a chart that I have had in my collection for many years, and I believe I started it in a Maynia maybe in 2020. It's by Carriage House Samplings. And when I first started this, I had planned on doing it in the Call for Silks, but I have changed my mind and I'm just gonna go with the DMC conversion, I think. Unless something just looks way off, and then I'll switch over to the silk for that portion. This is being stitched on 40 count antique cotton by R&R. And I do know on this one that I had stitched the tree and the few leaves here. So when I picked it up this time, I stitched the ghost house. I think that's one of 5 houses on this piece, or 5 dwellings, 5 buildings. One's a church, I think, or a school. And I'm stitching this 1 over 2. So I felt like I worked on that the 29th through the 31st. I worked really hard to get that house finished, so I'm happy with that progress. Again, another one that I feel like is a beautiful chart, and I haven't seen too many people stitching this piece, so I would love to see someone who has finished it. So that's my projects that complete 2021 Maynia. I don't know if I will do Maynia in the future. I love the idea of picking particular projects and focusing on those for a month, but May is a very busy month for me, as I'm sure with all people in the teaching profession. And it was a struggle at times to get any stitching time in this past month. It seems like our district, we used to end classes in mid-May, and or early May, and it's just is creeping up at, a few days each year are added on to our school year. And so I don't know, we'll see. I'll have to think about it over the year and see how I feel closer to Maynia 2022. So that brings us to what I've been stitching on this month, which is a little bit, not a huge amount. The first piece I picked, I've jumped all over the place. Just to set that up first. It's been hard for me to settle into one project. Again, with school going into the month of June and shutting down the classroom, it was just a little crazy, and I had a hard time settling on one thing. But the first thing that I picked up was Mansion House at Fox Hollow by With Thy Needle and Thread, and I have not seen anyone stitch this. Not to say that people haven't, but I just haven't seen anyone that I watch on YouTube stitch this piece. I'm stitching this one on 30 count parchment, 2 over 2. Oh, do you see this up here? I started this in October of 2019 at the Midwest Cross Stitch Retreat in Amana, Iowa, where Brenda Gervais was the guest speaker, and I had her sign my chart. So I'm using all the call for threads on this. When I picked this up, I just had this part of the roof done. I decided to go ahead and do the outline of the roof and start in on the massive house. The brickwork was interesting, but I'm happy to have that part finished. And now it's just going to be a matter of going in and filling in for the windows. I'm working on the door right now. I think that this piece will actually go relatively quickly once I pick it back up, but I may wait until the fall to do that, and so that I can take it to the retreat this year, which I'm looking forward to. So I worked on that for several days, and then I decided, okay, enough already. And I picked up Hollyberry by Erica Michaels. And I think I started this sometime 2017, maybe 2018. It's on 40 count silk gauze. Not sure what I was thinking, but I did make a fair bit of progress. I had already had the bee stitched, and I had the outline of the honeycomb, and I had a small portion of the honeycomb filled in. So I went ahead and filled in the rest of the honeycomb and started over on the word honey and filled in behind it. Filling in the honeycomb was easy. Filling in the off-white, I don't know, I'm just not liking the way it's looking, but I'm not pulling it out because I did try to pull some out and it was horrible. So we'll see. I do want to finish it. I just think that at the time that I was trying to fill in that off-white, maybe my eyes were tired and I was probably trying to watch something on TV, and the two things were not helping matters at all. Then when I was full up of that, I went back to, or which I've been working on for off and on since May, because this was my lunchtime project, and it is by Modern Folk Embroidery. Words are a struggle today. Called Black Lives Matter Pinkeep. And oh, there it goes. I'm stitching this on a 40 count, I think it's a vintage country mocha. It might just be the country mocha, but I think it's the vintage one. So when I'd already finished one of the circular parts, I have since finished the second one, and I'm stitching this 1/2 on the 40 count. And then after I finished that piece, I came down and I did all the lettering, and now I'm just doing the filling in. This is slow going, but easy in good daylight hours. So I'm looking forward to a finish on this one. And then The last piece that I've picked up this month is another Stacy Nash piece called Midnight in the Strawberry Garden. It is a threadboard and strawberry Pinkeep. I'm working on this piece, but I will eventually do the strawberry, which is just, I don't think it's stitched. I think it's just a wool strawberry. I'm stitching this one on not the called for. I'm using charcoal. I think it called for dolphin by weeks, but I'm doing 32 count charcoal, using all the called for Gentle Arts threads. I'm stitching this also 1/2, even though it's on 32 count, and I almost have a finish. I just have the rest of the house and to put the windows in the door, and then the foundation of the house. The vines almost did me in, but I hung with it. But what a pretty piece. So those are my pieces so far for June. I really have no idea what I will get up to when I finish that last piece. I think my stitching will slow down a bit because garden, yard work, all the good housekeeping stuff. And I also want to get back serious into my journals and my thread books. So yeah, I don't know what I'll do. The good news with this final piece, this is one of my last small pieces for my 2019 Maynia. The bad news is all the rest of my 2019 Maynia pieces are huge, and pretty much all my other works in progress are rather large pieces. Speaking of my works in progresses, I have whittled them down. I only have 27 whips at the moment. I haven't done, I think Black Lives Matter was my most recent new start, and I haven't had any new starts since then. If I do start something new, it most likely will be a small piece, just to kind of give me a breather between some of the larger pieces. I'm not upset about the number of my whips, but I would like to get some of the larger pieces a little bit further along than they are, because I do have a few pieces that are just maybe a couple of days worth of stitching in them. So we'll see. I'm not going to make any promises of when I'll be back. I will try maybe to do an end of the month update, but like I said, my summers are busy with tending the garden. One of my children always wants to go on adventures, and I'm not going to deny that. Sorry for the shake. Especially since we've kind of been cooped up for the last year and we want to get out and about. Oh, that reminds me. So last weekend, my daughter Cecilia and I went to a local lavender farm, and we got to cut our own lavender. That was nice. It's been crazy hot here. We have a heat advisory for today, so probably no walk for Thane, which makes me sad because I really enjoy getting out with him, but maybe half an hour before dark it might cool down enough for us to go out. We'll see. But yeah, we like to do a lot of little day trips in the summer, so that will probably be one of our activities this year. And like I said, back to my journal and thread book making. So we'll see how much stitching I get done. All right, friends, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. If you are new here and you like what you saw today, please don't hesitate to subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave those for me, which I have been very bad about getting back to those, but I will try to be better. Until next time, my friends, as always, happy stitching.